Hey guys, welcome to group chat.
Let's go.
Woo! You got me and Anand today. D's out. We have a really hot episode. We have some stuff just to chat about between Anand and I. Actually, a lot of stuff we ended up just kind of chatting about Elon and his intentions. Very interesting.
Great conversation.
Great conversation. A lot of the events and things that happened over the weekend. Trump's out and about on the scene, getting cheers. And then we got some news to talk about. And we have a special appreciation today for our listeners. So listeners, especially you diehards, a lot of kind words in here for you. We're very thankful for you.
We love you.
We love you very much. Okay, who's ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Where's Javier?
Javier is the new David Goggins.
What does that mean? I mean, I know who David Goggins is, but what's he doing?
So it's actually interesting. So on Friday, I was sitting in the office and I was like, what are the boys up to? You know, the boys always have a big weekend. The boys love their waterfront. They love their like Venice.
Plus it's like spring, first weekend of really nice weather here in LA.
Weather's great. It's not raining. I'm like, what are the boys up to? He's like, no, the boys are running this weekend. I was like, what are the boys doing? And he was like, we have a challenge, and it's a David Goggins challenge where, you know, I'd never heard of this. I've heard David Goggins on Rogan. I don't know a lot about him, but you have to run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So he started at 8 p.m. on Friday. So he gets home from work.
So you wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, he's waking up at midnight, 4 a.m., 8 a.m., noon, and he's just going. And he's still going.
And he's running as we speak.
Yes. I mean, I think he's got to be, right?
Or he's fucking resting because he's exhausted. That's absurd.
Well,
is
so
it like you're supposed to do it in this time? Like, is there oh, you do it in April, or is it just?
No, I think it's just a thing that David Goggins is just like, you know, hustle, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what's the purpose of it? What do you think?
Well, look, David Goggins' whole thing, which is funny because when I flew back from Vegas, he was next to me at the airport. And,
no way.
Yeah. And
like
someone
came
up and asked
each other or no?
No, but somebody just came up and asked him for an autograph, and I didn't even realize. And I looked over, I was like, "Who's signing an autograph?" And it was David Goggins. His whole thing, like really, if I could like simplify his whole brand into one thing, it's really like mental toughness. Yeah. And so I think the reason why this would be his challenge is because it's just the fact that you can't sleep. You know, like he's a Navy SEAL. He talks a lot about Hell Week. And you don't sleep at Hell Week, you know, they wake you up in the middle of sleep. And so I feel like it's just very on brand. Like, you know, what's his name has 75 hard. Everyone has like all the motivational guys have their branded workout, and it would make sense that his is mentally miserable.
But it's insane that the impact it has on young people. So Javier is like 25. And I can tell you at 25, I never was thinking about any of this stuff, especially the way Javier lives. He goes hard, but he's like one weekend. He's like 1 weekend. I got to be David Goggins. And
yeah, I don't think there was anyone like that when I was 25.
No, and I think that's actually interesting that it's obviously a positive influence. Yeah, like Javier didn't get to go to the waterfront and didn't get to do all his normal stuff.
He had a weekend off.
He had a weekend off, but I'm interested in the sense that like people actually look at these guys and like, okay, let me try 1 weekend, do it.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest. I get it. Like some of the guys I think are bullshit, just like anything, but like, I get it. Like I've read David Goggins' books and listened to some of his interviews, and like, I get it. I mean, it does get you fired up. If I was 25, I wish something like that existed when I was 25, because that is not.
Nothing happened when we were 25.
Hell no. But I get it. It's cool. It's a positive side of the internet.
One of the few things.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of negative, but I do think like And I think also like the motivation on the internet gets a bad rap because there is so many bad actors, but like, yeah, Goggins is pretty legit.
Yeah, I think.
But it's still insane.
It's still insane. And we'll see if Javier is alive tomorrow.
Props to them though, man. Because I literally the other day, so I've told you guys this a million times, so listeners, sorry for being annoying, but like running is the missing thing in my newfound healthy life. You know, I box, I lift weights, but like running, like even at boxing, like I will get gassed out. You know, the way to not get gassed out is to run. You really have to do them side by side. That's why every boxer, you've always seen them running. And I went the other day on whatever day, Friday or something, to run just 3 miles. I go run around the reservoir, and I don't do it a lot. So I'm not conditioned. I run like once a month, which is terrible. So I never get conditioned. But man, 3 miles even is just, I don't know how you guys do it. I think about you guys, you and D, all the time, because I'm like, you guys do this just regularly, like for relaxation. And it's just my knees and ankles. It's brutal.
No, totally. I think
running to the boys.
Running is for me, it's therapy. It kind of just like calms you down, and it's just like, okay, you can't be on your phone, you can't, do things. So you actually have yourself, or you listen to a podcast, you're doing whatever. And I told you, I always just have my phone blasting a podcast.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's absurd. That is so crazy.
Yeah, so I look like a freak when I run, but I like it. It's good.
Yeah, like I said, props to the boys is really what I'm saying. Because to me, I just put out my little workout video. You see what I do. It seems hard, but running, I would do any of that any day over running 3 miles.
Which is crazy.
Easily.
When I saw you like throwing the weights, I'm like, I'd rather run.
Yeah, I'm the opposite.
That's crazy.
Yeah. What else is up? Masters just ended. John Rahm, the king.
What's your take? I followed it pretty closely over the last 4 days. I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay. So I have a few thoughts. My few thoughts are, number one, after the last time he competed, I said, I think Tiger can win another major. I did think that. After today, I think there's a retirement announcement coming.
Yep.
Because, the guy, he got re-injured. He played like shit again. It's not trending in the right direction. It's trending the opposite way. And I just don't think, I think for his pride, he won't continue to do that. I mean, he almost didn't make the cut. He's made 22 consecutive cuts, now 23, but he squeezed by. Justin Thomas got a bogey and probably helped him out. So unfortunately, that made me sad. And then I thought that there was a really cool opportunity just to stir the pot for Brooks Koepka to win, and like a live guy winning.
I know, that's what I wanted. That was my whole like mantra on Thursday. I was like, I want to live guy in the hunt.
Yes. And Mickelson was crushing it. And I was like, damn.
So why isn't this more talked about? Like Phil Mickelson is 52 years old, turning 53 this year.
Yeah.
And he was top 3, right? Or top 2?
I think he ended up in 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah. So he shot a -7. He's literally 52 years old. And I don't feel like he gets that shine. People just hate him, right?
So now he will never get the shine because of Live. If he never went to Live, that's all they would be talking about right now. But you could even see that Brooks was paired with John Rahm, who went on to win. And they were like, you could just tell they were trying not to highlight the Brooks too much.
Right.
Like, I think that there's just a mandate that goes out that says, okay, fine, these guys can play in the Masters, but like, do not give them shine. Do not, keep it mellow. But they just so happened that one of the guys was in first all weekend. And so what can you do? And then the other guy, he might have got second. I don't know. But Phil Mickelson like crushed it. But no, they're just going to hate on him so bad.
So like 2 of the top 5 guys were live guys. My crew.
Yeah, absolutely. Your crew was hot this weekend.
I know. And everyone hates them. Like I have very close friends that are like, pure golfers, and they hate their guts. I still don't get it. Like, who cares?
I don't get it either.
Like,
I don't get it either. I feel bad for them though after this weekend.
Right?
I feel bad for them after this weekend though, because they both played well. There was like reports of like Phil Mickelson, used to be like the life of the party, like the, light up the room. And like, you can just see it on TV, but they also said that like at the champions dinner, like he just sort of has the wind taken out of his sails. Like he's just very like tail between his legs now and like doesn't talk, just isn't the old Phil Mickelson, but the guy's still crushing it at his age. Brooks Koepka.
52.
Yes. Brooks Koepka has been in the dumps for the last couple years. He looked terrible on that Netflix documentary. It was like, okay, this guy's done. And then he almost wins the Masters. And I think he said in an interview, like, had I been healthy like this and had I been playing like this, I probably would have thought differently about my live decision. Because all these guys, like, yeah, I don't feel too bad for them. They got a bunch of money. They're fine. But like, you know, they're like the pariahs now. Like, let's get over it.
And I have to take a shot at Rory McIlroy. He sucks.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't.
And you know
make
what I
the
liked
cut
for the storyline is he was
the
on most
that
outspoken.
Show. And he was the one on the Netflix show that they made him like the face.
He's the face. He's going for a career Grand Slam if he wins the Masters, and he
has not won a major since 2014. That's
shut the bed.
A long time.
Yep.
9 years.
And he was playing well recently, and he's the most outspoken player about live.
Yes.
And he didn't make the cut, and if live guy would have won, I would have loved that.
I wanted live to win so badly.
I think my new take on the news, I forget what we were talking about last week, but I said something similar, is like, it's sort of my version of Occam's razor. It's just whatever's the most entertaining. Oh, this is what we talked about with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Course.
Whatever's the most entertaining outcome is the one that I'm rooting for. I don't care anymore about what's right.
Razor. You should make your Drama's Razor.
Yeah, that's Drama's Razor. It's just,
that's the title of the pod, Ari.
Yep. Let's not worry about our political party. Let's not worry about what's right and wrong. Let's just all rally for the most entertaining outcome.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
That's how you don't get bummed out by the news, because you're like, wow, this happened? Amazing.
So, Drama, your parents are in town. What'd you guys do?
My parents are in town. They actually came with me. They're actually in the other room.
When are they coming? This is a bet we have in the office. Are they going to be in the pod in person? And are you going to be here or not?
Yeah. Yeah. Most likely the scenario will be they'll be on the pod. I'll be on Zoom. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I was going to come tonight, but when D's out, so they want to see everybody. So anyway, what did we do? We've just been hanging out. They just want to hang out. I Airbnb'd them a house. We're just hanging.
What'd you guys do today?
Well, I went golfing this morning, and then I went over there and hung out. And then now they're here because they hadn't seen where I live yet. So they're here just poking around. Now they're out there watching YouTube.
And they've heard a lot on the pod about the area.
They've heard all about it on the pod. They literally came into this room and they're like, oh, this is where you record. I noticed the background. I see that, it's like a famous set, which by the way, I was just in the elevator in my building and a young lady, very cool looking, young hip lady walks into the elevator and she says, hey, nice shoes. And I said, thank you so much. I just got them. And she says, oh, are you Drama from group chat? And I said,
that's
yeah.
Great.
And she said, I just recognized your voice. When you responded to me, I recognized your voice. So of all the years of things that I've done, Young and Reckless, we did together, TV, it's now my voice that gets me noticed.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah. And she said, I love the pod. I listen all the time. I'm obsessed. So good. We have a great audience. We're hot. We have a great audience. You know what else is? I've said this also a million times, but like our audience is cool, Like it's
they're very, everyone that's ever like introduced themselves about the podcast has been amazing.
Yeah. I'm so thankful for that because I have experienced the other side where unfortunately sometimes, if you're in the elevator in your building, the person who recognizes you might not, be super excited to have a combo with, let's say. Whereas group chat fans are almost always just seem like our friends.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been at a restaurant in Beverly Hills and he's listening, I'm sure, because he told me he was dressed in like Montclair. So he's obviously like a well-to-do fella.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey man, I really like your work.
Yeah.
Like, thank you.
Yeah. It's rare that, I'm trying to think of the last time, and I wouldn't say it, but like the last time someone's came up to me, I've been like, oh, group chat.
Because I've been with you. We've all been with you. We've been in Vegas. We've been
in the MTV days. Yeah, like Vegas MTV days was pretty rough, you know?
The day parties, the day parties in Vegas.
Yeah. What's up, dude? Where's Mini Horse? But now, like these nice, hard work, you know, this young woman probably worked at Netflix or something. Like, you know, she was
100%.
Cool.
If she's living in your building, I'm sure she's a very successful person.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to shout that out. I mean, shout out to our listeners because you guys are awesome. Yeah. And it's funny when you record a podcast every week, you forget that so many people just recognize you by your voice. So shout out to everyone.
You know, it's funny, recognized by your voice, which, you know, we can get in the news, but Amanda was driving with my daughter, Vivian.
Yeah.
A couple days ago, and she was playing group chat.
Yeah.
And every time I spoke, she goes, da-da, da-da. And I was like, wait, did she do it when D said it? And she was like, no, it's literally when your voice came on. And I was like,
how old is Viv?
15, 16 months.
Wow, that's good.
And she was like, da-da.
That's also a good way to, like, you know, if you can't be there, just throw on group chat and
yeah, exactly.
Dad-ass right there. Yeah, that's good.
It's fun.
That's good stuff. Okay. You want to talk about some news? We got a little bit of a like light day. And D's out. So, but we do have some stuff to talk about. You want to talk about commercial real estate?
Yeah, this is the next shoe to drop. And I don't think people actually understand how bad it really is. And we talked about it a little bit on the last pod and then pod before that commercial real estate's a disaster.
Do you include those apartment buildings in that conversation, or are you more thinking office space? It's all included. No,
so the way I think about it is basically like it affects a very small number of people in the sense that like it affects developers, it affects lenders, it affects creditors to these buildings.
Yeah.
But it actually it's not systemic in any way. Yeah. So it's not affecting like, you know, the average person. It affects like really people that have made a lot of money in the last like 10 years developing all these, you know, buildings and products.
Yeah.
And now interest rates are so high that their buildings don't make sense. So apartments, real estate, if you had a 4 to 5% annual income cash flow, that was considered good.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, okay, I get 4 to 5%, and then the real estate increases and it makes sense. And now it's completely like upside down.
Yeah.
Because you need to do 12 to 13% and real estate's not going up. So this is like a massive shoe that in the sense that like, I don't know. I think it's going to affect just a small portion of the population. That's the point, kind of.
But you don't think that there's any ripple effect? Like there's anything else connected that causes that to happen? Like, is there anything?
I mean, it could affect banks, of course, because if banks can't get paid on the loans that they've lent out to these buildings, of course. Yeah, that could happen. I just think it slows growth.
Yeah.
That's it.
And if you had to guess, just in your opinion, we won't hold you to it, but we will soundbite it if you're right. Like, what's the percentage chance that this becomes a real issue?
Very low.
Low?
I think it's very low. Very low.
But even for that small group of people?
No, I mean, they're going to get affected. I think people... So like SL Green, which is the biggest office like kind of REIT in New York, is down 90%. It was a $12-13 billion company. Now it's like a $1 billion company and probably will be bankrupt.
So you're saying that's happening for sure, but if it affects regular people is very low.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I mentioned in one of the previous pods that 50% of Americans do not have assets that are interest accruing, whether it's securities, real estate, or whatnot. 30% of people own homes in America. So you have this large portion of America that literally is not affected by any of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it affects really rich people, for sure. If you're a really rich real estate developer, yeah, you're fucked.
Doesn't it feel like different from before? Like there's so many different moving pieces of the economy now, and certain ones are getting creamed, certain ones are doing really well, certain ones are. Doesn't it feel very segmented and sort of fractioned to you?
I think what's happening is that the average person in this correction isn't getting affected.
Yeah.
Which is great, in my opinion. Great. Like the average person can still get a job, can still earn, and can still put food on their table.
Yeah. And you don't see that
it's like
changing.
The billionaire going from $1 billion to being worth 50 million. That's happening like over and over again.
Disgusting. Think of all the people that are just going to get like, lifestyle downgraded, like won't be on the yacht next year.
Yeah. The yacht, I mean, we talked about on the last episode, it's the first time we were in Mexico City. I saw celebrities in commercial airports. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you're right. Even these fucking TikTokers are flying private somehow.
Still?
Or they were. They were.
Yeah. I don't think they are anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think,
we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep talking about it. They were also talking about it on whatever it was, maybe All In, like about, just office buildings, right? Like that's a mess. The other part of that I just don't understand how is even sustaining is in areas like LA where they still have the eviction moratorium and people haven't been collecting rent for a very long time, and office buildings that still never got filled back up and people are just waiting for those leases to expire. It's just, there's a lot going on there. And I like the point that you brought up that's must be true of, during the building of all these places in the last couple of years, like lumber prices and everything were way inflated. And these people didn't stop building. So you would imagine that probably they're way over budget anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Wild. Okay, how about this? Tesla building a mega factory in China.
So he's your boy. So tell me. You take the floor on this
guy, one. Stand-up guy, really honest guy. I love what he's doing for free speech, and I think this
free
is really
speech.
Great.
Really? Did you see how he's throttled everyone on Substack? Give me a fucking break.
What'd he do?
He's throttling Substack writers.
Oh, like if they post their link on Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's literally the anti-free speech guy.
You got to be native to Twitter. You can't be handing out that traffic. I love what he's doing for global trade. I mean, look, in all seriousness, I am a fan of Elon, but I don't think that he is bulletproof. But I don't know. I mean, once again, I think we're so, like, for instance, the amount of work that China does on just Apple alone, like, is this Megapack factory even a drop in the bucket? Like, does it even matter? Or, is there something about it that we shouldn't like?
I mean, I don't care, right? Like, he should absolutely build a factory in China. And like, I don't think it's a big story in the sense that we should be like criticizing him or not. I think it's just funny that the moment he bought Twitter, in my opinion, ruined his legacy.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be this, like, he got bullied into it, right? He was like, free speech, free speech. He's absolutely not about free speech. And he's about all these different things. Really? How so?
We could have an hour-long episode debating it. Look, let me be serious.
I actually think Elon is the best entrepreneur that we've seen in our lifetime.
Yeah. I'm trying to give you my honest take because sometimes I just try to like troll you because I know it's fun for the episode. But I do think, I mean, look, I honestly believe, I could totally be wrong. I could meet someone tomorrow that is friends with Elon that says, you're wrong, dude. I know him. Check this out. And I'd be like, shit, I'm wrong. So I'm not like married to it. And I don't like actually, I don't walk around wearing a Tesla shirt or anything. But I think that in his mind, he is making cars electric to help the climate. I think he thinks that he's working on getting us to Mars to help us be interplanetary. And I think that he thinks that what he did on Twitter is...
I think he knows he messed up.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
But look, we're both debating how he feels, which is really tough.
Right.
But
of course.
I think one thing is that I take this like Twitter file thing a lot more. Like, I think it's way crazier than you do. Like when I listen to even like Matt Taibbi was just on Rogan talking about it. And so was the other dude, Schellenbacher or whatever his name is. And
did you listen to David Cho, by the way?
I can't. He's too wild.
He's wild.
Was it good?
Unclear.
Okay.
Like I listened to most of it.
It kind of like weirds me out. Like he's too out there for me.
He also bragged about how much money he had for 2.5 hours, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, I saw like a clip that said like he like made life a video game and just wanted to get as rich as possible. It's just like, I don't know, man. I'm not mad at the guy, but like, I mean, come on.
No, I'm just curious because he's actually like a known guy. I think he lives here, right? He lives in LA.
He's just too weird for me. He kind of like weirds me out. Like it feels like you're like listening to someone with issues.
The insecurity in the pod was so like prevalent because he wanted to brag about how much money he had.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you're rich. Who cares?
Yeah, it's rough. I couldn't do it. But anyway, look, you and I could debate this for an hour and it might actually be a good episode, but I think that, I think the stuff like, did you listen to is his name Schellenbacher?
I didn't listen to that. No,
you should listen to that one. I think that, from their view, even though both sides engage in it, I think from those guys' view, what Twitter was doing with working with the government and suppressing voices and stuff like that was really crazy. And I think that he honestly thinks like, this is I'm going to free this up. Now, my honest take is I think that maybe he's gone a little one-sided. So he's gone like, yes, I'm all about free speech, but really looked more at Democrats. Instead of like, I don't hear enough about like, okay, but what are Republicans doing? And I don't believe that, oh, they're just innocent and the Democrats are the ones working with like that. I think is a little off. But I do think I think he believes that he's getting us to Mars because Earth is going to explode and he saved the human race. I think he blah, blah, blah. Like, I think he thinks those things. And he might have also been a little bullied.
Yeah,
or
I think
got in over his
I think
skis.
he thinks those things, and I think they're wrong.
Well, that's fair. We could agree on that because he could be wrong. All I'm saying is I think he legitimately believes it.
Yeah. So what I said on the last episode, I'm curious your thoughts. Like, if you opened up social media today, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, YouTube, it's basically like woke and liberalism is the worst like form of life. Yep. And then you look at the way people vote, it's very different.
Yeah.
So Republicans have lost in the midterms. They lost in LA. They lost in Chicago. And they lost in Wisconsin. So is this all just theater that we're just like consuming for no reason?
I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you, because to me, that's the same thing that happened with Trump. Like we thought that could never happen.
It's almost like the opposite, right? It's really the opposite. We didn't think Trump could potentially be a viable candidate, but then we're like, oh, there's all these people. And now it's like, oh yeah, people are just actually progressive.
Like the fact that the guy won in Chicago who was more, than Lori Lightfoot, that blew my mind. I understood why the red wave didn't really come. I really think that's because of abortion and the Supreme Court and all that stuff. That made sense to me. But crime being what it is, and then these really, really easy on crime, defund the police people continuing to win. I just don't know anymore. I think that there's one current, which is on the surface, which is like social media and how people are talking. And that's more like, that's like trend driven. Like, oh, it's cool right now to be anti-liberal. Oh, it's cool right now to be super woke. It's cool right now to whatever. And then there's this undercurrent of how people actually go vote. And I have no idea what the hell they're up to. Because I don't think those people are posting all day. I don't think what you see on social is a reflection of how people are voting at all.
Yeah. No, I 100% can't figure it out. I'm like, if you open up social media, you're like, there's no way these things are going to happen. And they're happening, in the way that I would prefer versus the opposite.
Is the problem, like, who was against, was it Lori Lightfoot against that guy?
What do you mean?
Who's the guy who won in Chicago? What's his name?
Brandon Johnson.
Okay, Brandon Johnson. So my question is, and sorry for being so ignorant on this, was it Brandon Johnson against Lori Lightfoot?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so then the problem is not, which I thought maybe this was the problem, is that, like, in California, we tried to do the recall, but the other options were so bad. Sure. And so, like, I could see if that was the explanation. Like, yeah, people don't love that person, but the other options are so bad. But in Chicago, it was essentially someone who's, doesn't seem to be doing a great job, a lot of crime, a lot of whatever. But then they just went more liberal, which that doesn't make any sense to me.
And then you see Wisconsin, which we talked about on the last pod, was state Supreme Court was a liberal judge that was voted in.
Yeah, I'm really confused.
Because social media makes you think all we care about is, like, we hate woke and we hate progressives. But the way people are voting is very different.
Yeah. And it was the opposite with Trump.
It's
the same thing, but the opposite.
Yeah. Because everything in social media was like, there's no way there's a guy like Trump that could be voted in. And then people actually believed it.
It makes no sense. It doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't reflect reality. Social media, unfortunately.
Social media is like a trash. We should all delete our social media. I love Hezbollah, but I might have to delete social media.
Even he's canceled, right? Wasn't he beating the shit out of a cat or something?
Yeah, I know. But
so even he's gone. You can't have anything on social media.
But I'm really curious, like, where do we consume information going forward?
Yeah, the problem is we don't have a group chat to listen to,
Yeah, we don't. No, I'm serious.
I know.
You're right.
I don't know. Because I will say, once again,
because I consume a lot of content in a given week. In a 7-day week, I consume a shit ton of content. And I'm trying to sift through what's real, what's not real. And I like to pontificate on this podcast about what I think. And
it's tough. It's really tough. Because I do have to say, the last couple of weeks, I've been, I'm pretty low on social media these days. Like, I don't keep it on my phone. I don't whatever. But the last couple of weeks, I was really low on my time spent. And there were a couple moments that actually, like, were really interesting to me. Like, some of the stuff with the banking crash and some of the stuff with politics. Like, you could see from not checking it how, like, it could wrap people up into a tizzy like that day. It's like, what's the chaos of the day? What's the panic of the day? And if you just sort of, like, took a second and said, like, okay, what's really happening here? All right, I'm sure this is going to be fine. Like, the entire banking system isn't going to crash. This is pretty wild, but let's see what happens. Like, you see how, like, it is perfectly at this point engineered for people to freak out, panic, and fight with each other. Like, that is what's happening there.
No, it's so easy.
It's so easy, but it's really fun too.
It's fun.
Like, it ropes you in.
TikTok's really good, though. I'm not going to lie. I know it's going to get banned, but it shows me what I want to see.
Did you see, like, apparently they, like, the TikTok bill, like the bill that came out about all this TikTok shit is, like, way different. Did you read any of that?
No. What happened?
We should read it before we really dive into it. But essentially, like, it took the momentum of TikTok and, like, okay, here's the bill that would ban TikTok. And it's actually, like, all about how, you can be punished for using a VPN and the government can ban any platform at any time. And, like, it's just like, whoa, like, you kind of Trojan horsed it a little bit. And there's really no mention of TikTok.
No, it's so stupid. It's
wild. That quote, whoever said it, never let a good tragedy go to waste or whatever, for politics, was like, it's dead on.
No,
you know what I mean?
True. Yeah, no, I totally get it. It's insane.
So crazy. Well,
I want to bring up something.
Yeah.
You actually don't know this, but I'm the greatest AI investor of all time.
What happened? Tell me about it.
It's good. It's really good. I wished he was here because I was even shocked that I was such a great AI investor before.
Wow. I mean, people make careers off of this type of stuff. So
yeah, no, I want to like kind of make a moment about this.
An announcement.
So I invested in a company. Anthony did. Nas did. It's called Even Up. Yep. This is in the fall of 2021.
Okay.
And the company is basically a software business that for personal injury attorneys.
Okay.
So personal injury attorneys, which I learned back in 2021, is the biggest income generating sector of the law world.
Yep.
So 100 plus billion a year is paid to people that are affected by this. So if you get hit on the street corner, like you get a check. Yeah. You get hit, like, you know, a bulldozer hits you, whatever. Like it's a massively like
lucrative.
There's a lot of money being transferred.
Yep.
And this company, Even Up, was basically giving software to law firms. So I'm making up numbers, but you can get the gist. If a personal injury attorney firm was doing 20 cases a year, if they had software to synthesize this stuff, they could do like 50 cases.
Yeah.
And cases to settlement, because they should all be precedent, because you know, if you get hit on Wilshire and La Jolla, like this is what you get paid.
Yeah.
And they've synthesized all these data and they get you closer to the settlement. So the flywheel is basically like you get more cases done, you get settlements quicker, and you get the actual amount you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
So I invested in this. We invested in this in fall of 2021.
Yeah.
It's the hottest deal in Silicon Valley. Because now they're using AI to speed up the process. And there was a fucking war to try to fund their next round. Every name fund on the planet was trying to invest in this company. And I was early.
You need to start, like, you need to take this to Twitter. I mean, this is how, like, all of our, you've said this before, 90% of the most well-known investors today with their Substacks and their Twitters and their podcasts were just people who, you know, invested in Uber or whatever in that sort of round. 100%. And now that's you.
I've done it many times.
But now you're already on the AI train. You know what I'm saying?
I'm earlier than AI.
That's what I'm saying.
Microsoft.
The next round of all these guys are going to be the AI guys. You're there.
I was there in 2021.
You need to ride this wave because we need.
Should I write a thread?
We need to ride your coattails. Yeah, you need a thread about how
I saw it before everyone.
You saw AI early, and that's why you made this bet, and you're so proud to be.
You know what's funny is like the founder like actually told me, he goes, look, when we start processing these claims, we're going to get smarter and we're going to get quicker to being able to synthesize information.
Yeah.
It just wasn't called AI back then. It was called machine learning back then.
You need to change your fucking bio right now.
I'm AI, Anand.ai.
You're AI Anand.
AI Anand.
Ah, it's good. Man. Yeah, this is literally how careers are made. So in like, you know, investment media. Well,
yeah,
I'm happy for you. I think this is going to be great for the pod, and I'm looking forward to riding your investment coattails all the way to. I mean, we're already the number one podcast in the world, but
that's before all these guys. It's crazy.
Another one. It's just like Drake. Called it early.
Crypto.
You need to make a list. Maybe that should be your bio. Things I called early. Drake, crypto, AI lawyers. Oh man, congrats. Super Mario Brothers is the biggest movie in the fucking world. I mean, is that a thing? You're a big movie guy. Are you seeing that?
Big movie guy. I did not see it. I saw Air, which is the Matt Damon, Ben Affleck.
Was it good?
It was incredible.
Really?
Incredible.
I need to go to iPick.
Yeah, we did iPick on Thursday. We went opening night.
Maybe I'll do that with my parents this week.
You should.
They like movies.
Matt Damon and Viola Davis are absolutely incredible. I think they're going to win awards.
Wow, I'm so glad that lived up to what it should have been.
And
because that's a really cool concept, you know?
Yeah. And Michael Jordan is noticeably not in the movie.
Yeah.
Which is on purpose.
But he co-signed it, right?
He
gave his
met with Ben and Matt and said, "You guys can do it."
Yeah. It's a really great concept. Like, you know, you could do a million movies about Michael Jordan, but taking that angle is really unique.
Yes. And it's phenomenal.
Yeah, movies have just been so bad lately.
He gives a speech that, is like iconic in my opinion.
I gotta watch it. Okay, so no Super Mario Brothers for you though.
I didn't watch Super Mario Brothers, but it grossed 150 million this weekend.
I mean, so what? More. Movies are just crushing it all of a sudden? Because wasn't Avatar like the biggest movie?
Yeah, so Super Mario Brothers did $377 million in the last 5 days, internationally and domestically.
I mean, yeah.
That's insane.
Shows also how much I don't know. If you would have asked me like movies, anyone going to theaters, anyone, I'd be like, no, dead.
Yeah, 100%. And Air, which I think is the greatest movie of the last year, only did $20 million.
That's fucking wild.
But Amazon pays for it for streaming, so it's different.
Is it coming out on Amazon? Is it one of those theaters and then
in
Amazon
a week?
Things?
Yeah. It's going to come out in a week.
Okay, how about this? Traveling. We've talked about traveling a lot. Traveling is back. We talked about how people are, it seems like people are, after a few years of being locked down, it seems like people are spending their money a lot on experiential stuff, traveling, really getting out there as opposed to, whatever, just buying stuff. But there's sort of a caveat to that because apparently this new version of travelers are still pretty price conscious. They're not fucking around with these crazy prices.
Yeah, no, it seems like over $500. You can't travel.
Is that a room for a room?
Yeah, $500. That's the threshold, which I agree. That's an egregious amount of money.
I agree. I think we also heard it from D when he was talking about going to Vegas a couple weekends ago, and he was talking about the win and trying to get it to drop below $500. I think he was looking for a 300. But that makes sense. I mean, it also makes sense that people would be a little wiser, to what's a good deal. I feel like people got really wise to Airbnb in the last year, of wait a minute, there's all these fees, there's all this, you can't blah, blah, blah. You can't make too much noise. I feel like people are just getting smarter at what is actually worth it.
Yeah, I think people are very hip to game. Because even when we went to Mexico City 2 weeks ago, some people are like, no, we're just going to Airbnb. Why would you pay whatever the hotel rate is?
Yeah.
There's no reason.
That's also the thing now is you have a lot of options and you can see them all.
The data is transparent. It's transparent, right? You can figure it out. So I think inflation's going to roll over.
I like the way this is headed. Okay.
I think inflation's done.
Hope so, man. I'm ready for some rates to go down and the party to turn back on,
The party's starting. Don't worry.
You think? Is that how you feel?
Yeah. 100%.
I like that look in your eye. You look like you were confident.
I'm confident.
Yeah.
I'm confident.
That wasn't for content. You were.
That was not for content.
That was like a guy who knows somebody. He's like, hey, just relax. It's coming. Okay.
Rates are coming down.
All right. Last but not least, UFC. I'm actually surprised I didn't talk about this in the beginning. UFC 287 event last night. Massive event. So for the world of UFC, I'm a pretty avid UFC fan. And I would say when it comes to storylines, meeting outcomes, it's probably as good as it gets. The way that this fight went down, this main event between Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira, but it's as good as it gets with. Can
you set up the situation?
Yeah. So the situation is this:
who's fighting?
Israel Adesanya is I'm only talking about the main event. The undercards were actually really good too, but Israel Adesanya is the middleweight champion. He's been the champion for a very long time. He's defended his belt for a very long time. He essentially like cleaned out the whole division twice. So almost all the best guys in the division got 2 shots at him. He beat them all. It was sort of this thing of like, who can even beat this guy? I mean, he's literally just untouchable. And then this storyline starts to emerge about he came from the world of kickboxing, which is a really small, world before he crossed over into MMA. And there was one guy back in kickboxing who beat him twice. One time beat him by decision, close decision. One time knocked him out cold. And so all of a sudden, this storyline starts bubbling. And it's this Brazilian dude. And he looks like an evil villain in a fucking movie. And oh my gosh. And so this guy jumps in the UFC not that long ago. He had a record rise to a title shot, like 4 fights. He quickly, knocked out, destroyed 4 people. They gave him the title shot because the storyline was just too good. And he knocked out Israel Adesanya. That was like 6 months ago. And it was like, oh my God, he knocked him out with the same punch that he knocked him out with in kickboxing. It was like your worst nightmare came back. There's one guy who just is the kryptonite to the Superman. Oh my gosh. So they schedule a rematch. That happens last night. And Israel Adesanya looked like he was in the same position again. And it looked like, my gosh.
So Israel's the one that got knocked out.
Israel is the champion. Israel is the guy. He's the one who got knocked out 6 months ago.
So he is the one that needs to reclaim his throne.
Correct. Can he reclaim the throne? And essentially the stakes are this. If he wins, he reclaims the throne. Everything is right in the world and he is truly the best. If he loses, oh my gosh, the evil villain came back from the past and he just has his number and he's just better. And the guy already essentially won 3 times in a row. He won twice in kickboxing and then once in MMA. So this would have been the 4th time he beat him, would have been the 2nd time in MMA. Not much you can do from that point. And essentially, I don't know, Israel probably would have kind of faded out. And he got him, the bad guy, we'll say, for the sake of the story, got Israel in the corner, was unloading punches on him. It looked like one punch was going to knock him out. It was going to be a replay of the thing last time. And Israel just out of nowhere hits him with a right hand, knocks him out cold, asleep.
No way.
Yes.
I didn't see any of this.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, this is all news to me.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yes. So he gets him in the corner and he's shelled up and he's just punching. And it looks like, oh my God, this guy is so strong. And it looks like, man, one of these is going to connect and Israel's going to sleep. Oh my gosh. And then Israel just in between the punches, just throws a right hand and knocks the guy out cold, asleep, cold, out.
And he wins.
He wins, whole celebration. When Israel got knocked out in kickboxing, this is 7 years ago. Alex, the guy who knocked him out, his son, who was like 4, walked into the ring and made fun of Israel. He kind of collapsed in the ring.
Yeah,
he got knocked out. So Israel, 7 years later or something, I don't know, maybe 5, in the crowd after knocking out his dad, finds the kid in the crowd, points to him, and then collapses on the mat and makes fun of his dad to be like, fuck you too, you little bastard.
So who was doing the announcing? Was it Rogan?
Yeah.
Did he have like a iconic
reaction? I mean, he was like, this is the best knockout I've ever seen. This is wow. I mean.
And then he went on the stage and did the whole thing.
Yeah. Like if I were you, I would just watch. I would just look up.
My TikTok will be great.
Yeah, like I would just, if you looked up even just Joe, like reaction to the knockout.
But was it great. Like the Joe Rogan, like, oh my God, yes. What was the fight? What was that? What fight was that? When Joe was losing his fucking mind.
I know, I forget. But that was like an iconic image. It was exactly that. Yeah. And then he goes and Israel gives a whole speech about believing in yourself and even when everyone hates on you and blah, blah, blah. And it was this whole thing. It was great. I mean, it was, when it comes to like, storyline, sports storylines is what makes sports so like,
of course,
incredible. Yeah. And when it comes to storyline and then a payoff of like, the bad guy being knocked out cold on the canvas, it was top notch. It doesn't get any better.
No.
And Donald Trump was there, front and center.
Yeah. And he was cheered, right?
Really cheered.
So social media is like, who knows? Who knows what's real?
Who knows, bro? That's...
The voters vote progressive. The audience cheers Donald Trump.
I mean, we don't know. This guy could literally Like, what happens if he has this court case? This thing's going to go on forever. So he could win, essentially, he could win the presidency in the middle of this case, right?
Yeah, 100%. Of course.
Hey, you know what I'm voting for? Not literally voting. I'm not voting for Donald Trump. What I'm rooting for is the most entertaining outcome.
You're a DeSantis guy.
I'm a big DeSantis guy. No, I don't know, man. I mean, what would you do if Biden runs again?
I'm not voting for Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis.
Well, obviously, but like, what are you going to do? You're just going to vote for Biden?
Yeah, of course. Why not?
It's rough. Either way, it's rough. What about Gavin Newsom? You vote for him?
Of course.
I mean, you'd have to vote for him over.
Yeah, he likes Strength Laundry. It's a great restaurant.
He has good taste. Okay, that's all we got.
Fun episode.
Maybe Trump's president. Maybe literally no one cares.
Drama is going to be in the ring. We'll know.
Might be in the ring. You want to know what I will say, though, is the lack of actual turnout for Trump's indictment, I think, is a really big sign.
In what sense?
I think no one really cares.
No one cares. It was more journalists than protesters.
Yeah, and I think the UFC fans are just like, hey, we're here. It's fucking crazy that Trump's here. Like, rah, we're fired up.
I think the Nelk Boys just normalized Trump for UFC crowd.
I agree, but I don't think it's a real threat. But hey, we don't know anything. Can't call it. That's all we got. Good episode. Prep for the week. Shout out to everyone. And especially on this episode, I just want to shout out to our listeners because it's just, maybe I say it too many times. Maybe it's annoying, but it's really fucking cool that when we run into you guys, you seem like people that we would want to talk to and we would already be friends with. And that is really fun when you're creating content and your audience is cool and you like them and they're like you. That's not everyone's that lucky.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you've experienced the opposite of that.
I have 100%. I literally just like a Mr. Beast video came on my YouTube and like it was like I booked the most expensive plane ticket and then he invited randomly some of his subscribers and like, you know, I don't want to be mean to anyone, but there was a couple people in there that looked like Mr. Beast probably wouldn't hang out with them, you know, on a Saturday.
For sure.
And we have a great audience. So thank you guys. Everyone have a great week. We're out of here.